Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tamika. This is Library of Tomes, where I talk to you about all the bookish things going on in my life. Hi, welcome back. We're here today with a wrap-up. Actually pretty on time wrap-up for once. I'm filming this on the 1st. You all will be seeing this on the 2nd. Pressure to make me actually get it done tonight. Yeehaw. How's it going? For once you're not seeing something pre-filmed. Well, I mean, technically it is, but like, kind of also not. I don't know. We won't talk about it. So we're gonna hop into my wrap up. I got a digital bullet journal. I'm loving it. I'm overwhelmed. We won't talk about that part. But I did write down all of the books that I read, and I'm gonna go over them with you. So in August, I read 16 books. 14 of those were audiobooks and 4 of those were physical books. I had 1 DNF and I read 2 books for a book club, and I read no books for videos this month. Actually, yeah, I did. I had 1 video go out where I did a reading vlog for the Historical Romance Readathon. So when we get to those books, I will include that link in the cards if you want it. You know how we do things here. I normally go from the least read genre to the largest genre, but this month we are straight romance. There is nothing else on my shelves this month that I read other than romance. So we'll just hop on in and we'll talk about them. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the first one that I read. We're going to go in actual reading order this month. This month I read Sinful Empire by Megan March. Again, I'm not going to do rating systems this month just because I felt like that helped a lot last month and I was actually talking about the books that I read and not just giving you star ratings for books that I read. So I read Sinful Empire by Megan March. This is the 3rd book in the Mount trilogy. This one follows Kira and Mount. Kira had a husband who got a bunch of debt, like he got a loan from Mount, and then he divorces her or leaves her of some kind, and she then has to take on his debt. So she becomes indebted to Mount, Lachlan Mount, and he takes her basically and uses her body as payment, and that's kind of what happens. It's a captor-captive kind of situation, but not exactly, because she's still able to leave and go to work every day, but like she has stipulations and she has to stay with him. So it's a whole situation. It was the concluding book and I liked it. I am just glad that I'm done with it because that was the series I really wanted to finish before I completely took Megan March out of my reading list. She really pissed me off with her Dirty Billionaire series, and I just recently found out that she has said some questionable things. So I'm done with her. I'm not reading any more of her books, and this will be the last time that I talk about her on my channel. I'm in the mood for some dark romance, and I decided to pick up Captive in the Dark, and this is by CJ Roberts. This follows a very dark storyline. So this one follows a girl who is kidnapped and taken for human trafficking and her relationship with her captor. They have some, I would say, non-consensual situations. It's never the penetration that is non-consensual, but there are some like starter things that are non-consensual. There's a lot of physical violence in that one. So I would say if you are sensitive to assault or any kind of sexual activities, then I would steer clear of this one. This one does follow a captor-captive. She is kept captive in his home and he is planning on selling her into the sex trade. This is not a complete story. You have to read the second book to get the full story. I won't be continuing it. I just wasn't a huge fan of this. I didn't really like the narrator and I just didn't like the way the book was written. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I will say that if you are someone that likes to read on the dark side, or you have, you're curious, I would check it out. But like I said, if you're not really into dark, I wouldn't recommend it. And if you are kind of picky about the way books are written or the way stories are told or the way narration is in books, then I don't really recommend it for you either. Next up, I read Playing for Keeps by Kendall Ryan. This is a hockey romance between a girl whose name is Elise, and then the brother and the best friend's name I've completely forgotten about. I did talk about this in my brother's best friend romance recommendations. It is a brother's best friend hockey romance. They have a friends with benefits relationship after having a one-night stand, and it's their relationship after that. I actually liked this one a lot. This one was really cute. I liked the relationship. I liked the angst that came along with the relationship because they were hiding it from her brother, and because their brother and the best friend had a kind of a work relationship because of the hockey team element. So I liked that, and I liked how they had to deal with that and how they had to go about figuring out how to make things work between not only them but also the brother. So I really liked that one too, and I would recommend that one. So next up, I read Call Me Daddy by Jade West, and this one I had high expectations for and I just was not happy with it. This one is a daddy dom little girl, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop for just a second so that I can give a little bit of an explanation. Daddy dom little girl, also known as DDLG, is a subsection of BDSM, so it is a dom sub relationship type and typically follows a person who acts as a little, and then there's a caregiver, so those roles kind of depend on like whatever the person identifies as. In the situation, we had a daddy and a little girl, and there's some confusion on that stuff, but I will eventually make a whole video on some BDSM stuff and just BDSM books, but for now I'm just going to be kind of general about it. In this situation, the girl has a interest in being cared for and being a little and having someone care for her, which is why she has a caregiver, also known as her daddy. So with that being said, I really didn't like this book. I actually love daddy kink. It's one of my favorite things to read in books. We all know because of my Brianna Hill collection back here, but one thing that I had a big issue with is I felt like this author did not do enough research into the DDLG community. So what happens is our main character and our hero, they get into this relationship pretty early. Our heroine has a really bad friend who kind of like ditches her, leaves her things laying everywhere, and someone breaks into her apartment and destroys it. Then our hero, who saves her from sexual assault, takes her into his home and renovates her home for her and cares for her like she is his child. Overall, I think the DDLG in this one starts out really, really strong. But the problem that I have with it is a lot of people in this kind of relationship who have either a 24/7 dynamic or just a sexual dynamic in that kind of relationship, they don't just give it up. And I had real issues with the fact that they slipped into this relationship so quickly and so easily, and they went to the fullest extreme on it. So it wasn't just she called him daddy in bed. It wasn't just she liked to dress cute. It wasn't just he took care of her, like made her breakfast and had rules for her and things like that. Like they took it to the absolute extreme where it wasn't just those things, which are kind of common to see. But he was shaving her and wiping her, and to the fullest extent of DDLG without it being adult baby. So it is all the way on the scale, all the way at the end. So I'm going to get into a spoiler really quickly and then we'll scoot past it. Essentially, I didn't really love this book, and in order to really explain why, I'm going to have to spoil it. So here's your warning. When the cover disappears, I will be done talking about it and you can just skip to that part. I just got really disappointed with the fact that they went from that extreme and then they ended it. It was like, it was over. Like the DDLG aspect was just gone just because they got over this trauma they had. And that's just not realistic. A lot of people in the community use that to get over traumas, and the fact that they just kind of gave it up. It was really annoying because her excuse and his excuse is she wanted to act like an adult and she wanted to do adult things, and she didn't feel like she could be an adult in their bedroom, and she only felt like she could be an adult in his daughter's bedroom, or be in that type of relationship in his daughter's bedroom. And that's just not how it works. Like, you don't just turn it off. You don't just say that that's it. And like in the bedroom, you don't call them by their actual name. You can't call them whatever you call them when you're in your little space or whatever. So I wasn't happy with that. I know that being in any type of DS relationship takes a lot of trust and communication, and some people rely on it really heavily, so you can't just take it away like that. So I felt like the author just did a disservice to the kink and the dynamic, and I didn't like it. So that's that. Next up, I read Fluffy by Julia Kent. This one is about a girl whose name I have completely forgotten. Is that not obvious? I do this all the time. She applies for a job, and in the ad description it says that they're looking for a fluffer, and she thinks that they're looking for a house fluffer, so someone who will design a space. She gets there, finds out, nope, she's there as a fluffer, as in someone who is in the porn industry. So if you don't know what a fluffer is, that is someone who will make the actors and the actors in the movies will make them ready to perform. So that's what a fluffer is. And she ends up having a relationship with a childhood sweetheart. Well, not technically a childhood sweetheart, but someone who she went to like school with when she was younger, when she was like in high school. And it's his parents' house. He's trying to sell it, and he finds out she is a fluffer, like as in like she was there to design the home and kind of make it ready. And he hires her on and is like, if you can help me sell this house, you can have some of the profit and we'll see how we go from there. And it's really cute. I really liked it. It was funny. It was really funny, and I really liked the characters, and I really liked the way the story happened because it was really short and it was really fun, and I listened to it on audio and I was happy with it. So there's that. Next up, I have Devil Depay. This is by Janine Frost. This was a demon romance. I really wanted to get into some demon romances. I have this weird obsession with demon romances and just demons in books. I think it's so interesting. It's such a cool like concept for me, and I just wanted to read some demon romances, so I picked one up. This one is where a human is actually possessed by a demon and he falls in love with a vampire. So it was fun. It was a novella. I can't say too much else about it because if I do, I will spoil it, but it was fun. I really liked the characters and I really liked the story, and I would definitely read more from this author. I think this was like number like 30 in a series. I don't know. It was like way in there, but I did not feel confused at all, and I did not feel like I was dropped into the middle of something. I just felt like it was a standalone story, and it was fun, and I liked it. Next up, I have A Demon and His Witch. This one, again, was another demon romance. This one was really fun. This one followed a witch who was burned at the stake, and when she was burning at the stake, she made a deal with the devil to have revenge on the people who murdered her and who done her wrong in exchange for 500 years of service. So the story starts with her about to end her contract, but one of the stipulations is that the people that she got revenge on actually escaped, and she has to go find them before she can break her contract with the devil. So yeah, it was really fun. She gets sent on a mission with a demon who's a very high-ranking demon, and he's like a half-blood, I think, and he is so swoon-worthy. I really liked him. Their chemistry is really great, and it was really fun. It was really silly, but I loved it, and that's kind of like what I like in paranormal romances. I like it to be like over the top and silly and fun, and I think it's a great time. So next up, I have two that I read for the Historical Romance Readathon. The first one I have is Highland Helen, and that is by Mary Wine. This is the third book in the Highland Wedding series. As you all know, I started this series in June. I'm really liking it. I'm obviously on book 4 now, and I'm excited to continue the series. I'm just waiting for them to come through on my library, but I really like this one. This one followed Catherine, and I can't remember our hero's name. It was really cute. I really liked it. Kilts, Scotland, the cutest accents in the whole world. I just don't know how else to talk about this one. It was obviously another hate to love, kind of enemies to lovers, like dislike to love situation, because she doesn't want to be involved with this dude, but he rescues her, so she doesn't have a choice. She is a tomboy essentially. She dresses like a lad, she fights, she has been trained, she's not trained like a proper lady, and it's really fun watching them compromise. I love this series. It's so cute. I really love this series. I really recommend it. Check it out. Next up, I read Cold Hearted Break by Lisa Kleypas. This one was fun. This one was about a rake and a widow. The widow did not inherit all of her husband's things because, like, you know, in that time widows could not inherit it. It went to her brother-in-law, and he had control over her estate and everything like that. And he's like pushing her buttons because as a widow she has to grieve for so long. She has like a grieving period, and he wants to be with her, so he like pushes her buttons and tries to kind of get around and like make wiggle room with some stuff. And yeah, it was really cute. It was their romance. I don't really have anything else to say on it, but it was cute. And if you watched my vlog, you watched me struggle to know what a rake was, and then I described a rake, and then I was like, wait, that's a rake. So yeehaw, that's what happened. Next up, I read The Auction by Claire Thompson. This one was interesting. This one was another audiobook. A lot of these are audiobooks. This one followed two characters. Again, names escape me. Are we noticing a trend here? So this one was interesting. This is a BDSM one. This one follows our heroine. She is kind of down on her luck. She doesn't have any money. She doesn't have anywhere to live. She doesn't have a job. So she goes to this auction house that is known for making submissives and then selling them for a contract. They get part of the money and they go to a dom. So the dom, or the master or sir or whatever they want to call them, will pay this money for the submissive, and then they become their submissive slave. And it is the story where this guy sees her and he's like, I must have her, and he pays like a shit ton of money for her, like $53,000 or something crazy like that. And she's actually not a trained sex slave, like submissive slave, and she lies about how she is, and she doesn't do very good, obviously, because she's not really been trained to do anything like that, and she struggles with like basic commands, and she honestly sucks as a submissive, if we're gonna be quite honest. So it's their story and their romance. I don't really recommend this one either. It was fine. It was like a situation that I read, but like, take it or leave it, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So next up, I have The Takeover by T.L. Swan. This is a single parent romance, also a billionaire romance. The second book in the Miles High Club series. This one follows Tristan and what's her name? Claire. Tristan and Claire. Claire is a widowed mother. She has 3 children. Tristan is the brother of Jameson from the first book. And I loved the first book, and I loved this one even more. So they don't like each other. He's trying to buy her ex-husband's media company that she is running, that she's trying to save for her kids. And they end up having a one-night stand when they're at a conference together, and their relationship is just really cute, and they go back and forth from there. There's a lot of back and forth in this one. He has to win over her kids. I really loved the kids in this. They were such different age ranges. One was essentially like 18, I think. The other one was like 13 or so, and then one was really young, and I loved it. I loved the kids in this. I loved Tristan. I loved Claire. I loved their relationship. I loved him winning over the kids. I loved his banter with the kids. I loved how much banter Tristan had, and like how funny he was and how quick-witted he was and sarcastic. I loved the way he worked with Claire. Loved it all. I loved that he wanted to make those kids his, and I just loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait for the rest of the books. I want every book they can write. I want T.L. Swan to write one for all the brothers and then all of the children. That's what I want. So then I read The Beast of Besswick, and this is by Amelia Howard. I read this one for Jen's buddy read. She hosted it on her channel. There was a live show and I participated. She was like, hey, we're doing this. Does anyone want to do it? And me and Brie were like, hi. We'll do it. So we read it in like 2 days, and then we did the live show. This one is fun. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is a historical romance. This one follows 2 characters. a very scarred hero who is obviously the Beast of Besswick, or Besswick, sorry, keep saying that wrong. And then we have our heroine who was engaged to be married. However, the engagement got called off and her reputation was ruined. And what happens is there was a guy who she was engaged to, the one that ruined her reputation, and then he came along and he's like, hi, I'm gonna steal your girl. And it's actually her sister, and he's gonna like marry her sister. And she's like, absolutely not. So she goes and she proposes marriage to the Beast of Besswick because he has a higher rank than the other guy does. And she's like, hey, like, I'll give you an heir if you just like marry me. So, but he says no. So then they have a whole situation and then they're forced together anyway. It's really cute and I really liked it. And I'm definitely going to be reading more from this author because I really, really liked that situation. Then we have Breaking Her In by Brianna Hale, and this one, I'm just so sad to talk about this one. I'm so freaking sad to talk about this one. So hi, if you didn't know, my name's Tamika. Brianna Hale is like my favorite author in the whole world. You can see this is not supposed to be here, but right here, these are all her books, and then I have more of her books over there on my desk. I love her. She's like my favorite author in the whole world. This book didn't do it for me. So this one follows Lady Aubrey and Casson, I think that's his name, I'm not 100% sure. But it's a hate to love, enemies to lovers, and it's a royal romance, and you need to read the first book to read this one. Essentially, there was a king, they were overthrown, and then they're allowed to go back into their kingdom. That's essentially like summing it up. The world is really complicated, in my opinion. It's really complicated for no freaking reason. And they're too short. They're way too short. Like, these books are, I want to say they're barely 40,000 words. Like, if we're lucky, they're 40,000 words. And for those who don't write, that is like 200 pages. So it's not very long. They're not very long at all. I think the last one was 161 pages. And I'm just not liking it. I liked the first one, but this one, I gave it a 3.5. I'm probably going to lower my rating down to a 2.5. And that's a big jump. But the reason I'm saying that is because I really liked the chemistry between the characters. I felt the chemistry. I felt that. What did I not feel? Anything else. I felt like I was getting whiplash because one minute these characters hated each other and the next they're banging and love each other. And it felt like it happened way too quick. I was not happy with the resolution. I was not happy with the way that they had their falling out. I was just not happy with any of it. And the fact that I just love Brianna's writing and I love the way she writes some dirty smut made it better. But that was the only thing I liked about it. So I read this in a night and I'm going to move on from there because I'm going to continue reading. I was really worried I was going to say I don't want to read the rest of the series, but I'm going to continue reading. I may or may not get an arc for this one too. I've had arcs for the first two. I don't know if I'll try to get an arc for the third one, but I'm going to keep going. So this one I'm going to brush over quick because you're going to actually be seeing this video on Sunday. So I read Off the Record by K.L. Lindy. I read this for a video that you will see. This is a journalist book. This is about a girl who is a college journalist, gets involved with a political figure. He's running for political office. His name is Brady Maxwell. And truthfully, let me just go ahead and like tell you my thoughts. This one did it well. This one did a journalist well. I wasn't completely angry. I was bored out of my mind though. So I don't know what else to tell you. I was bored out of my mind. It was too accurate and I felt too many things that I felt when I was a journalist, and you all don't know. You all hear more in that video, but I left journalism. I do blame some of my distaste for this book on that. So it's not the book, it's not the author. She actually did a pretty good job. It was too hard to not read and just get all the feelings that I felt about being a journalist. So it's not the book's fault. It's me. It's a me thing. I would recommend this to other people, and I would recommend it for a good rep on being a journalist. So with that being said, I would recommend this one. If you want more thoughts, I will be, spilling all the tea on Sunday. Next up, I have Cherry Bomb by Carmel Rhodes. This one is just so sad to me. I really wanted to like this one. This one is a best friend's dad. This follows Cash and Cherry, and they meet in a bar. They have a one-night stand, and they find out the next day that her best friend is his dad. They're estranged. They had never met before, and I just felt like the conflict of this book could have been resolved really easily. Really easily. I feel like it fell out too typically, like everything that happened was just too typical, and I felt like the characters were not developed enough because it was too short. I couldn't fall for Cash and Cherry because I just did not feel like their relationship had enough time to develop. I also loved Cherry, but she was annoying as shit sometimes. And yeah, that was it. I felt like the other ones were kind of one-dimensional. I would definitely give Carmel Rhodes another shot though. I think my problem was I was going in expecting so much more than I got. I was really disappointed in it. If you want full thoughts on this one and the next book that I'm about to talk about, there's a live show between me and Jen. It's on Jen's channel for the Taboo Book Club. I am going to make an entire playlist on my channel for the Taboo Book Club, so I will link that in the cards for you. So lastly, the last book that I read, and I actually DNF'd it, it was called Him by L.L. Ash. I had a lot of problems. Another dad, or best friend's dad. The main character is going to college, and her dad loses his job, so she's not able to actually get housing on campus because they can't afford it, so she moves in with her best friend's dad and her. In short, I'll tell you, I was just irritated with the writing. I was irritated with the way that the story was told. I was irritated with some of the ways that they talked about other girls in this book. I got major not like other girls vibes from this story. I really didn't like that. There were passages that just rubbed me the absolute worst way, and the way some of the phrasing happened, it was like describing things really gross. It did not feel like the story was crafted with a reader's interest in mind. It was very not good with writing. I just didn't like the writing. It was so hard to get into, and for me, as someone who does not pay attention to writing that often, when I notice it, it's a problem, and it's really hard for me to get through a story when I don't even like the characters and I don't like the writing. So that's where I kind of came up with that one. I decided at 47% through I was going to DNF it. I just had issues with it and I just couldn't keep going. I tried to finish it, but it was putting me in a slump. So I decided I was going to DNF it. I told Jen that I had to DNF it, and she was okay with it. She was fine, and she told me what happened at the end. So if you want our full thoughts on that one, because Jen actually loved that one, again, it will be in the Taboo Book Club discussion for August. August flew by. I have already started on September because obviously it's September 1, and I'm hoping that this month will be a little better than last month. I have a lot of fun things planned. Okay, well, that's a lot of words that I just rambled on with. And hi, with that being said, that's all from me. If you want to subscribe and get some more romance content, here I am. I make videos every single week. And if you want to come back and be my friend, I have all my links in the description. I have Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads all linked down below, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye everyone. Rosy, sweet.